My name is Ava Carter. I'm 18 years old, and in just 3 weeks, I was supposed to start college. The future I had worked toward my entire childhood, gone in a single phone call. That morning, I called the bank to confirm my tuition payment. It should have been simple, but the silence on the other end dragged on too long. Then a voice finally said, "Your account balance is currently $315. I thought it was a mistake, because the real amount was $205,000, money my grandmother had saved over 18 years, month by month, just so I could have a chance to escape this life. But there was no error. The money had been drained. Over 8 months. The person who signed the withdrawals? My father. And when I asked my mom, "Where is my money?" she didn't even deny it. She looked straight at me and said, "We used it to buy your brother a house." I stood there. No tears, no screaming, until she added one more sentence, the one that shattered something inside me completely. "Because he's the one who truly matters in this family." I grew up in a family that from the outside looked perfectly fine. A small house in the town of Ridgemont where everyone knew each other, where evenings felt calm and normal. But inside, things worked very differently. Like there was always an invisible ranking system, and I was never given a chance to be at the top. My older brother, Liam, was always the center of everything. He was charismatic, easy to like, and always had my mom right behind him, protecting him. Even when he dropped out of school, bounced from job to job, and failed, my mom still called it exploring opportunities. Every time he came back home, she'd prepare everything as if she were welcoming a winner. And me? I did well in school, always got top grades, joined extracurriculars, and started working part-time at 15 to support myself. I didn't ask for money. I didn't cause trouble. But every time I brought home an achievement, an acceptance letter, or even just a perfect report card, my mom would barely glance at it and say, "That's nice." My dad was always quiet. He never said I didn't matter, but he never once said that I did. Over time, I realized something. In this family, I was never the priority. I was just the one who could handle things on my own, so no one felt the need to care. In that entire family, there was only one person who made me feel like I truly existed: Grandma Ruth. She wasn't talkative, and she didn't show affection in loud or obvious ways. But every time I was with her, I knew one thing for sure: I mattered. When I was 10, she told me something I never forgot. "This money is yours. I'm saving it for your future." At the time, I didn't think much of it. I just believed that someone was quietly on my side. Over the years, she was the only one who called to ask about my studies, who remembered my important exams, and who truly listened when I spoke. Not the kind of listening people fake, but real, genuine care. When I achieved something, she was proud. When I was exhausted, she was the only one who noticed. There was one detail I didn't understand back then. She always told me to keep everything she gave me. Every envelope, every document. I thought it was just an old person's habit of being careful, until everything happened. That's when I realized. She didn't just love me, she was preparing for a day when there might be no one else left to protect me. If you've ever had someone in your family who truly stood by your side, even when the whole world turned away, comment 1 below. 3 weeks before move-in day, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, going over the final steps for enrollment. Everything was ready. Housing, class schedule, paperwork. There was only one thing left: transferring my tuition from the college fund my grandmother had saved for me for 18 years. I called the bank like it was just another task. I'd imagined that call dozens of times. Simple, quick, and then everything would officially begin. But after I gave my information, the line went quiet. Not the normal kind of "please hold" silence. The kind that makes you feel like something isn't right. Then the representative said, "Your account balance is currently $315. I laughed. Just a reflex. My brain hadn't caught up yet. I asked her to check again, because the correct amount should have been $205,000, but there was no mistake. She started reading the transaction history. Large withdrawals, steady, stretching over 8 months. 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. I didn't say anything. I just listened. Until she said one sentence: "The authorized user on the account is Ethan Carter." My father. I set the phone down very gently. Everything around me stayed the same. the fridge humming, sunlight coming through the window. Only one thing had changed. The entire future I thought was certain had just disappeared. I found my mom in the living room. She was sitting comfortably, watching TV like it was any normal day. No sign that anything had happened. No worry. No avoidance. I stood in front of her and asked directly, "Where is my college fund?" She didn't flinch, didn't deny it. She just picked up the remote, muted the TV, and looked at me like I'd asked a perfectly ordinary question. "We used it to buy your brother a house." The answer was so simple, I couldn't even react. "That was my money. Grandma saved it for me." My mom gave a small smile, the kind you use when you're explaining something to a child who doesn't understand yet. "She can save whatever she wants, but I'm the one who decides what's best for this family." She stood up and walked a little closer. "It's an account under my control. Legally, I have the right to use it." I looked at her, searching for even a hint of hesitation, a trace of regret. But there was nothing. Just certainty. Then she said the one sentence I know I'll never forget: "Your brother needed it more." I stood there in silence, not because I had nothing to say, but because, for the first time in my life, I understood exactly where I stood in this family. I went back to my room, closed the door, and sat on the edge of my bed. Everything inside me was too quiet. No panic, no tears, just a vast emptiness where my future plans used to be. I started doing the math. Enrollment deposit, $5,000, due in 10 days. If I didn't pay, I'd lose my spot. And losing my spot meant the scholarship I was being considered for would disappear too. 4 years of effort, grades, awards, recommendation letters, all of it would mean nothing. How much did I have? $715 in my account. Savings from years of working shifts at a coffee shop. Not enough. I thought about taking out a loan. I'd need a co-signer, and I knew my dad wouldn't sign if my mom didn't agree. I thought about going back to the living room, begging my mom to return the money, but I already knew her answer. She'd just say, "Figure it out. You always do." And that was the problem. They took everything because they knew I wouldn't break. They believed I was strong enough to handle it, so they gave themselves permission to do it. I looked at my phone. Grandma Ruth was at the top of my contacts. I knew very clearly, the moment I pressed call, nothing would ever go back to the way it was. I took a breath and hit dial. If you were in my place, would you stay silent or stand up for yourself? Comment 1 so I know you're still here. Grandma Ruth picked up on the second ring. Her voice was as warm as ever. "Ava, is everything okay, sweetheart?" I told her everything. No tears, no pauses. From the call with the bank to the missing money, the withdrawals over 8 months, and the way my mom looked me in the eye and said, I didn't matter. When I finished, there was silence on the other end. Not confusion, something else. The kind of silence that comes from someone thinking quickly, clearly. Then her voice changed. No longer soft, sharp, firm. "They took all your money?" "Yes." "Your father signed for it?" "Yes." "Your mother knew?" "She made the decision." Another pause. Then she spoke, slowly, each word deliberate. "That money is yours. Not theirs, not the family's, yours." I gripped my phone tighter. For the first time all day, I didn't feel alone. "I have all the documents," she continued, "from the day we opened that account." I froze. She had been preparing for 18 years. "Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, come to my house, bring everything I've ever given you." I swallowed hard. "We're gonna get it all back." This time, her voice wasn't comforting. It was a plan. The next morning, as I was getting ready to leave, my mom stepped into the hallway and blocked my way. She looked at me, her expression no longer soft like the night before, but colder, more calculated. "Where are you going?" "To Grandma's." That one sentence was enough to change everything. "You told her about this?" she asked, her voice starting to rise. "It's money she saved for me. She has a right to know." My mom stepped closer, her tone softening in that familiar way, the kind of gentleness I'd seen 100 times before. "Ava, you're making this bigger than it is. This is a family matter. You don't understand what I've been dealing with." Then the tears came. Right on cue. Perfect timing. "You're tearing this family apart." I looked at her. For the first time, I didn't get pulled into it. I'd seen this script too many times. When my dad started questioning things, when my brother got into trouble, whenever someone began asking questions. Cry. Blame. Turn herself into the victim. I shook my head. This family was already broken the moment you took my money. The tears disappeared instantly, like someone flipped a switch. Her eyes went completely cold. You should be careful with what you're doing. I didn't respond. I walked past her and out the door, and the moment it closed behind me, I knew one thing. This had officially gone beyond just family. Grandma Ruth's house was just as it had always been, quiet, tidy, filled with the familiar scent of coffee and lavender. But this time, there wasn't just a cup of coffee on the kitchen table. There were 3 blue folders. She had everything prepared. I sat down, my hands still slightly shaking as I opened the first one. Inside were the account opening documents from when I was born, my name listed as the beneficiary, my father only as the guardian. The second folder, annual statements, complete for all 18 years. The third, the most recent statement. Balance, $315. Grandma didn't speak right away. She simply placed her hand on the folders and looked at me. I had the bank send me copies every year, she said, because I understand my daughter. I swallowed hard. She hadn't trusted my mom for a long time. We're gonna call a lawyer, she continued, calm but firm, and we're gonna get every dollar back. That afternoon, Attorney Margaret arrived. After reviewing all the documents, she said it plainly. This is a serious violation, and it may be criminal. I sat there in silence, hearing each word like a door closing for the last time. There was no going back. This wasn't just a family matter anymore. This was the law. Grandma Ruth looked at me, not pushing, not deciding for me, just waiting for me to speak. I took a breath. I want to pursue both, civil and criminal. If you were in my place, would you be willing to take your own family to court? Comment 1 if you'd stand for justice all the way. That night, everything started to change. Faster than I expected. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from my mom, from relatives, from unknown numbers. But I didn't reply. I knew exactly what was happening. My mom had started telling the story her way. A post appeared on her Facebook, already filled with dozens of reactions within hours. Please pray for our family. My mother is trying to tear us apart over a financial misunderstanding. I read every line. Not a single word was true, but the way she wrote it was convincing enough. Misunderstanding. Sacrifice for the family. A mother's pain. In just a few hours, she had turned herself into the victim. I looked at the comments. Words of support, hearts, prayers. People were taking her side without knowing what had actually happened. For a moment, I found myself wondering, was I overreacting? Was this really just a family matter, like she said? But then I remembered the number in my account. $315. That wasn't a misunderstanding, that was a choice where I was never even considered. And in that moment, I realized something. If I stayed silent, this story would always belong to her. But if I spoke up, the truth would begin. 2 days later, my graduation party was held at home. My mom had everything set up perfectly, banners, cake, food. From the outside, it looked like a warm celebration, a happy family. But I knew it was all just a stage. About 30 people were there. They laughed, congratulated me, took photos. My mom moved around the room, wrapping an arm around my shoulders, introducing me as her strong, independent daughter. I smiled, played along, said the right things. Until someone asked, "Ava, which college are you going to?" The room paused. Before I could answer, my mom cut in. "She's still deciding. You know how kids are, always changing their minds." Another person followed up. "But I thought Grandma Ruth had set up a college fund for her?" My mom smiled, completely at ease. "Oh, that money was a shared family investment. We used it for something more important. Liam just bought a house." A few people nodded politely. But not everyone. I saw the look starting to shift. Some went quiet. Some looked at me a little longer than usual. And me? I stood there, realizing something very clearly. My mom had just publicly admitted she took my money. And she didn't think there was anything wrong with it. After the party, as people slowly left, Liam found me out on the porch. His face looked tired, nothing like usual. "Ava, that money, was it really yours?" I unlocked my phone and showed him the documents. He read them. And his expression changed. I didn't know. By Monday morning, everything officially exploded. My mom received a letter from the law firm. I heard her scream from downstairs. This time, not the staged tears, but real panic. She stormed into my room, the letter shaking in her hand. "You're suing your own parents?" I stood there, calmer than I'd ever been. "I'm taking back what's mine." She clenched the letter tighter. This is family. No one takes family matters to court. I looked her straight in the eye. Family doesn't take $205,000 from each other and call it a shared decision. In that moment, every mask fell away. No more tears, no more performance of a grieving mother, just cold anger. If you go through with this, she said, her voice low and sharp, you will no longer be part of this family. I didn't hesitate. I never was. The room went silent. That wasn't something I said in the heat of the moment. It was the truth it took me 18 years to finally admit, and from that moment on, there was no going back. If your family is the place that hurts you the most, would you stay silent or stand up for yourself? Comment 1 if you choose not to lose yourself anymore. 2 days later, the story made the evening news. I sat in Grandma Ruth's living room, my eyes fixed on the screen. The reporter's voice was calm and clear. A couple accused of draining their daughter's $205,000 college fund to buy their son a house. Then Grandma Ruth appeared. She didn't cry, she wasn't angry, she simply told the truth. Every detail, every number, every year she had saved. That money belongs to my granddaughter, she said. And she deserves justice. Within hours, the whole town knew. Social media exploded. Hundreds of comments and shares. People started asking questions. Those who had once taken my mom's side began to go quiet. My former teachers spoke up, confirming how hard I had worked. Other parents started checking their own children's accounts. The story was no longer private, it became an example, a warning. A message from Liam popped up. I saw the news. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen, unsure what to feel. Not because the apology came late, but because, for the first time, someone in my family admitted that this was wrong. And at that moment I realized something. The truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be told at the right time. And it will spread on its own. And once it does, no one can take it back. Things didn't end all at once. It unfolded more slowly, but with certainty. The prosecutor's office opened a formal investigation. Every transaction, every signature, every withdrawal over those 8 months was reviewed. The $205,000 was no longer just a claim, it became evidence. My father was the first to give in. He agreed to cooperate, accepted responsibility, and signed a plea deal. I saw him in the courtroom, quiet, exhausted, like someone who knew he was wrong but was too late to fix it. My mother was different. She denied everything, justified it, said it was a mother's right, a decision for the family. But when the forged documents were uncovered, everything collapsed. In the end, she had to accept a deal, probation, restitution, and a criminal record that would never fully disappear. There was no apology, not once. Meanwhile, Liam sold the house. Every dollar went toward restitution. He moved out and started over, for the first time, without our mom behind him. And me? I stood outside of it all, watching everything unfold like a story that no longer belonged to me. Justice happened. But it didn't feel like victory. Just a quiet, undeniable truth. Some things, once broken, never go back to the way they were. The day I moved into my dorm, the room was small. A single bed, a wooden desk by the window. Everything was simple. But for the first time in my life, it felt like a space that truly belonged to me. A full scholarship, support funds from the community, the money Grandma Ruth had protected for me. Put together, it was enough for me to start over, the right way. Not because of my family, but because of the people who truly believed I deserved it. I no longer speak to my parents, no texts, no calls. 2 months after the trial, my mom sent me a letter. I read it 3 times. She said she had done what was right for the family. She hoped that one day I would understand, but in the entire letter, there wasn't a single "I'm sorry." I folded it and put it in my desk drawer, not because I hate her, but because I understand now, some people will never admit they hurt you. And you don't need to wait for that, to keep living your life. I looked out the window, students passing by, each on their own path. For the first time, I'm no longer trying to be seen, I just need to know who I am, and that's enough. If you've ever been the one who stayed silent to keep the peace, only to lose yourself in the process, comment 1. Sometimes, standing up isn't about breaking things. It's about starting over.